You can say what you want, but I never been scared. Never been scared. Never been
Welcome to the More Than Sports Podcast, where everyone has a story. On today's episode, I speak with Trey Beard. Trey is a 2001 graduate of Southwood High School in Shreveport, Louisiana. Trey was an all-district running back for the football team during his senior season. On today's episode, Trey talks about how he declined the opportunity to play earlier on the varsity team by changing positions and how he performed as a leader during his senior year. Trey also discusses his journey post-graduation and how he attempted to continue his playing career with stops at Bossier Parish Community College, Northwestern State University, and the University of Louisiana Monroe. Thanks for joining today's episode. Now let's start the conversation. Welcome to the More Than Sports Podcast. Today I have a special guest, Trey Beard. How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing well, man. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, man.
Like to get started and try to ask you, like, what is your first memory of playing sports?
First memory of playing sports, man. Organized or unorganized?
I would say either way. Just your first memory of playing sports, organized or unorganized.
Oh man.
Backyard or on the team.
Oh man. On the street, man. We used to have a game. I mean, everybody. If some people call it toss up, we call it smear the queer, man. You toss the ball up and you running and tackling people on the street, man. I mean, you got your between mailboxes. That's where it was. That's where I fell in love with football, man.
Yeah. So at what age were you when you started playing that?
For that, man, I would have to say probably around age, about 7, 8, somewhere around there. I mean, that's when you start tossing. I mean, but I'm thinking when you start talking about tackling and stuff like that, man, it's probably more closer to the 10-year-old, I guess. That's a good guesstimate for me.
Okay. So when did you start playing like organized sports?
Organized, man, was 6th grade at Linwood. Started played basketball and football. In elementary, you know, I cried all the time trying to get my parents to let me play, man. Like, you know, but after school, like we just got finished talking about, hey, man, they wasn't doing that. They wasn't racing home to take me to no football practice. So that was out the way. I had to wait until I got to, you know, to middle school when it was right after school and they had buses and stuff to take you home, transportation to bring you home.
Okay. So you started playing basketball and football in the 6th grade. Did you kind of gravitate towards one more than the other?
Man, I'll definitely say football, man. Football because it was more of a contact sport. Football was, I guess, to me, it's always been looked at as a man's sport. To me, that's the rough and tough sport. Whereas it's not taking away anything from basketball, man. But I've never been an AI man with the dribbling skills. So football, you'd have to do all that. It's about bruising, man. Trying to bruise somebody or dodge from getting bruised. So I fell in love with that.
Okay. Like, did anybody encourage you to play football or basketball, or is it something you just kind of decided you want to do on your own?
Oh man, it was honestly I don't remember anybody encouraged me to play, man. I mean, of course, your father wants you to get out there and do stuff. I mean, that was in the neighborhood, but it was just when I said I wanted to play, he never came back with anything saying no or anything. He was always good to go with it. So as far as encouragement, man, I mean, he was there to support me, but honestly, I think it was just me like being outside playing, then seeing some other friends they were playing, you know, in elementary and stuff like that, and hearing about that kind of stuff. I want to take it off the streets and go and do it organized too.
Okay. Did any of your parents or any of your siblings play sports either?
Oh no, man, I was the oldest. I'm the oldest, so I'm the mold, man.
Right. So when you started playing you said in junior high and middle school,
Mm-hmm.
like what was that experience like? Just getting out there for the first time amongst your friends, amongst your peers,
Horrible,
in
man.
organized sports for the first time.
Horrible. I say horrible because a lot of those guys had already, you know, there were other sixth graders that was going in. That was their first year doing it as well. But that was my first time playing organized. Organized. I watched football and you would play football and stuff like that. But in elementary, when you watching football on TV, what do you really pick up? For me, it was really nothing. I just like to watch them play and see my parents and stuff, yelling at the TV, man. That was pretty much it. So it was a curve for me, man. It was a learning curve. So it was kind of horrible there for a while. I thought you just go out there and
was that something that, like you said, you knew you kind of came on, hadn't played anything organized until you got to sixth grade. Now you got this huge learning curve. Was that something like you kind of identified early on, or was that something like the coaches kind of had to like, hey, we're going to have to give some extra work with you?
Both, man. It was both. Watching on TV, because like when I first started playing organized ball, it was like I'm thinking what I saw on TV, it was just gonna happen. You get out there and eighth grader, man. I mean, he come and lay you out. I mean, hey, man, this ain't supposed to happen. This ain't happened to Emmitt Smith Sunday when I was watching him play. So that was a learning curve for me, man. It was a rude awakening for myself. I mean, it was a challenge that I definitely didn't back down from, but it definitely, like I said, the learning curve on my side was steep. I wish I would have played and just got, I guess, that kind of like that equating the game and everything and what needs to be done earlier. But as well as my coaches, man. I mean, it was David Bryant, man. I never forget it. He's like, Trey, we're gonna work on you, and hey, man, he kept his word.
That is the great David Bryant.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So you said you played basketball your whole time through junior high, or did you just kind of come on and once you started playing football, you decided to hang up your basketball short?
No, man. Junior high, man. I think I started. I don't know if it was sixth or seventh grade, but I started playing basketball. I'm trying to think, man. I can't remember which one it was. But started playing in middle school, man, and had fun with it. And basketball was fun. But basketball was, like I say, I mean, I stayed in foul trouble, man. I like to once again had to learn the game, the organized game, man.
No, I got you. But you mentioned earlier about Coach Bryant saying that he's gonna have to work with you.
Yeah.
Like, what did that mean to you? Like, as somebody that's coming in and assumed that you were going to have like some success just based on what you saw on TV, and then getting there and, obviously not being successful, at least to the point that you felt like you were going to be early on.
Yeah.
And then having a coach come and kind of pull you to the side and let you know that, hey, man, even though things aren't going the way you think they are, we're going to work with you and we're going to coach you up. We're going to train you to get you to where you need to be. Like, can you kind of speak to like, how did that go in those conversations with Coach Bryant?
Oh yeah, man, definitely. I definitely say ego was shot. I didn't want to listen. I mean, still thought you knew everything. But at the same time, on the other side, it was, even at an early age, realized somebody, he could have just been like, man, hang it up, you done. But it was, I also took it. He was cool. He's also my PE teacher, so we talked, outside of the football field as well. So, just really seeing somebody, I took it as also somebody taking me under their wing, man. And so, just trying to tell me, man. I mean, he said he had some choice words sometimes, man, and I mean, he found my buttons to push, man, and he would say stuff, and so he actually helped me, I think navigate through the learning curve for myself first. So.
Right, and Coach Bryant, and he coached me as well. So to your point, very direct.
Yeah.
But man, he will give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah.
He coached football. He also primarily coached girls basketball.
Yeah.
But I mean, just a solid guy, man. I definitely owe a lot to him also.
Yeah.
And in reference, it's just trying to help mold me and mentor me and bring me along as well. So
Yeah.
I know you were in good hands.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you kind of in that, and then you're moving on into high school, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you attended Southwood High School. But was there anybody kind of once you got to high school or even in the middle school that you modeled your game after? Anybody that you saw out there, whether they were on TV or not? Like once you got to high school and start seeing other players up close,
Yeah.
was there anybody that you saw that you modeled your game after?
Oh yeah, man, definitely. I'll definitely say it was more on TV. I was raised in a Cowboys household, man. So Emmitt Smith was on
Okay.
every weekend, man. So every Sunday or every Monday. So whenever they played, so just seeing how that was something me and my dad could talk. Of course I played running back. That's something that my dad would, start seeing my dad start seeing like, I guess in middle school when I started getting, okay, hey, excuse me, he sees me, he see that when attend the games, he's seeing that I'm getting the game. I'm playing, and we have something to talk about. So that was our thing, man. And like I say, Emmitt Smith, anytime Emmitt Smith was playing, oh man, I was trying to model. I was trying to every time we went to practice after they played, man, I was trying to model whatever Emmitt Smith did during the week, during the weekend. I was trying to model it, man, on the field, man.
Right. So how was that, or can you speak to that, man? How was that, bonding with your dad, man, over those games? Because I know that's something that a lot of people don't have an opportunity to do, whether or not their parents play sports or watch sports.
Yeah.
You spoke to like you and your dad kind of having like some shared interest, man, and sitting down and watching the games together, man. How was that?
Oh man, it was great for me, man. My dad, that wasn't the only thing that my dad we could talk about and stuff, but it was just that one. That was one of the things right there. Like, kind of felt like I'm not just a son no more. I'm a buddy. We talking about that watching the game. So, dude, I loved it, man. I mean, he'll see things and like Emmitt Smith may break, look like he's getting tackled. He break a run, man. He's like, oh, there you go right there. There you go right there. And I'm like, of course I'm getting pumped up over it. And then so I mean, like I say, it was just a good. For me, it was a real good experience, man. I loved it, man. I mean, it was just, whether I mean, I was getting whoopings in middle school, man. So I found myself going from being the dude that was getting whoopings to now, like I say, I'm the homeboy. We watching football together. So, hey, man, it was great for me.
Right. So you mentioned, kind of modeling your game after Emmitt Smith, who you saw on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But did you have like anybody, like kind of once you in middle school, coming into high school, did you have anybody that kind of brought you to the side and mentored you? I know you kind of spoke a little bit about Coach Brown earlier, but did you have anybody once you got to high school that maybe kind of showed you the ropes, somebody you kind of looked to as a mentor?
Oh man, yeah. Honestly, the only one for me that I can really say was Coach Worthen, man. I mean, I've heard people who agree with me, but I also heard people who didn't agree with me. To be Coach Worthen, once again, another direct coach. He gonna before the man gives you a compliment, man, he gonna talk you down. And so, but to me, once again, somebody that was like, hey, like pretty much take you under the wing, really set me to the side, pulled me to the side and really showed me sometimes like, hey, this is what you do. So once again, that transition from middle school to high school, of course, is not necessarily that big, but I mean, going from freshman to freshman football, but he took the time to like just point out little things, man. And so, I mean, even though I'm pretty sure you heard his saying was, if you're freshman, there's well, and then there's what he say the ocean floor. And then he said, you're beneath that. You're well crap on the you're beneath the well crap on the ocean floor, man. So that's what he always said. But at the same time, like
Right.
even though he was tough, he still to me he always just kind of talked to me. We would have those conversations. He wouldn't sugarcoat it, man. He'll say, this is what you need to do. Think about this and oh man. So I kind of feel like he was another person that took me on this wing, man.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, and he coached the freshman team during your time when you were there.
Yeah, he coached freshman team. Then I think I want to say my junior year or sophomore year, man. I think he was going to something kind of happened, man. Where I mean his position changed. He changed where he was going from freshman to I think JV or something, man. And a couple of years later, man, then it was kind of because him and Coach Morning, man, they kind of went through the change together. And I can't really remember
Okay.
exactly how that went, but yeah, he coached me as a freshman, but then after that, I think he went to JV, and then he ended up going back to
Okay.
freshman again.
All right. And I'm asking this question to all the alumni of Southwood,
Don't tell
and
me about
that's
the record,
just
man.
as it relates to the record. I
Tell me
have to
about the
ask.
record.
So I'm a little curious on everybody's perspective and insight. So over the last 9 years, Southwood's record is 8-77. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there was much success for many years before that. But as of recently, it's been a little worse than anybody would have really expected, based on where the school is located, access to certain players, and a lot of other things. So, based on this 8-77 record, when you hear that, what are your initial thoughts?
Man, and I've heard you ask some other people this, man. And I actually this answer, man, but I could never really come up with anything. 1 minute, man, is disappointment, man. Like, bro, really? But on the same time, on the other token, man, it's kind of like we kind of saw it coming. To be honest with you, I hate to say it, you kind of I didn't think it was gonna be this. To be honest with you, man, I thought that since I've been there after freshman, after Coach Worthen, I thought that I thought the coaching staffs, well, the head coaches, man, were kind of questionable. But after that, the decline, the decline that they have over these years, man, that just kind of I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. Let me say that's the best way I can say it and kind of sum it up.
Okay, you're surprised, but you're not surprised.
Yeah.
So from your viewpoint, do you think anything can happen to change the culture? It's a very obviously the culture was not necessarily a winning culture. I would
Yeah.
say when you were there, when I was there, but it's drastically changed for the latter.
Hmm.
But just from your viewpoint, do you think anything can be done to change this?
Oh, definitely. I definitely think it can, man. I think they just have to. Honestly, they just have to. I think whoever is over hiring a coach, man, they just got to find somebody that honestly they have some. I mean, it's something about them. They got to have a track record, one, but also you just got to really believe in that, believe in what they selling. I really do, not just possibly friends or whatever. How I can't speak to how they've hired coaches in the past, but um, definitely been the wrong ones. I think on a lot of tenures, but they just got to find somebody, man, someone who really wants to win, who takes it personal. Uh, and
Okay.
I mean, man, I mean, it's gonna keep them up at night. If when they lose like that, they have losing seasons, or just the little things. When they lose a football game, it's gonna keep them up at night. They need somebody like that. What that looks like, man, I really can't tell you. But I just think they need to figure that out. So it's possible.
Do you think it's important for them to have an alumni to come in and coach, or do you think we just need the best person available?
I think either one would be good, man. Like, once again, you got to find that right person. Because, like, I mean, when we were there, and I'll say this name, man, because I think everybody kind of felt like I know when Coach Rob, I wasn't gonna try to say his name, but when Coach Rob left, uh, when Coach Rob left, man, Coach Morning, man. I mean, a lot of people wanted Coach Morning to be the head coach because one, Coach Morning was not only did he get into your tail, when in the weight room and on the practice field and in the game, but he's like at the same time you can relate to him. Everybody liked him. I don't know nobody. I don't know no one who didn't like him. So I thought that was kind of, that they could have did that. Like, say, somebody like that. They've had good coaches there. They just did not. I don't, for whatever reason, they didn't utilize them. They didn't give them those opportunities. So I think that alumni can. It would be good having an alumni. Um, come back, somebody once again, somebody who takes it very personal. That takes pride in your wins and losses. They takes it personal, but also, I mean, maybe you might have that person on the staff, man. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't even know who on the staff.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, no, I mean that actually makes a good point because I don't think we, at least from my viewpoint, had a lot of people that were on staff, and then as the head coach left, somebody on that current staff was promoted to that position.
Yeah. Coach
So
Reed
yeah,
was
I mean
another,
that's a different perspective. Okay, so just going back to like your freshman year. So what was that like coming in and playing your freshman year? And what did you experience? What did you see? Coming into high school.
Man, what did I experience? Man, a whole nother world, man. Um, from everything, to be honest with you, from football to just being around. Once again, seemed like more more advanced people, man, more advanced girls, man. It's lovely to me. But it was lovely. But on the football field, man, the experience was good, man. Like I say, it was another learning curve. I think because you had people that you played against in middle school, and now I mean, of course, everybody's kind of in together on the freshman level, but then you also mixing
Mm-hmm.
with people that you played against, in middle school. Now y'all at the same high
Right.
school, and I mean, man, yeah, it was some battles, and some good battles, some bad battles, but um, I think it was regular, man. I mean,
Right.
it's
Okay. Um, so kind of moving into like your sophomore and junior year, like how did that transition, work out for you? Coming, obviously, like you said, everybody's kind of on the same playing field coming into freshman year, but as you move into, kind of like your sophomore year, junior year, that's a little bit of a different mix of players. So how did your transition work there into your sophomore and junior season?
man, it was. I'm trying to see how to answer this, man. It was a smooth process, man. Smooth transition, but at the same time, like once again, what you did on the freshman level, you got to kick it up a little bit more. I mean, it didn't feel too good to be. Yeah, you can start on JV was nothing. I mean, but when you start seeing certain people, man, they were on JV. You could play on JV and dress JV, but you dress in varsity too. So it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
enough, man. That was a whole nother element, man. First game I couldn't dress out varsity, man. I almost crushed me. I thought I was out there doing something. So
When
it
was
was
that? That was during your
sophomore.
sophomore year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sophomore year, man, I think sophomore year, man, I did more JV than varsity. I think I dressed a few games, and for varsity, or whatever. But junior year was when I did of course, dressing for varsity, every game.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you got a fair shake during like your junior year as far as playing time on the varsity?
Yeah, I think I did, but I think it was kind of self inflicted as well, man, because the opportunity was there
Mm-hmm.
to truly play my junior year, but I didn't want to I didn't want a position change, man. I mean, the current running back that was my boy, but I wasn't finna block for you, man. Like that just wasn't. I wasn't finna be fullback. 4 fingers down, man. Like I mean,
Well, let's back that up then. So you're saying like during your junior year that you were approached with a position change. So I guess you have to just kind of color that in for us. Like so the coaches came and asked to you to maybe temporarily shift from running back to
to fullback.
okay,
Yeah,
and your response, sir.
my thinking, man, was hell no. Like no, man. Like it was nothing against my boy, but it was more of I felt like when you get to one, I didn't want to play that position. I saw how the position was being utilized, and
Mm-hmm.
as well prior to we brought him up. Um, Deshaun when he made the transition. There was some running plays that he did, but at the same time, I felt like his role diminished. Moving to that spot, and so for me, I didn't want to move to that spot, knowing that that role was probably going either that one your role was going to diminish during the game, and I don't mind blocking on certain plays. I don't mind blocking on plays, but once again, when you're a running back, you want the ball. Like you want the ball. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
wide receiver, man. You want the ball. So for me, I felt like it was that, but also that if I did make that change, this is where I was going to be stuck at. And we had some we had some dogs, man, that was in the stable, man. I'll say that. And so for me, I just felt
Mm-hmm.
like if I would have made that change, it was gonna be the next year, my senior year, it wasn't gonna be moving back to tailback. It was gonna be staying right there where I was. And so for me, I just that's why I say it's a twofold. It's a twofold answer reason behind that, but uh, we here to be honest. So,
Well, no, I guess I'm a little curious about that. Cause I know, I mean, and everybody has their own reasoning for whatever decisions they make. But I mean, I guess what I'm hearing is like you pretty much had a starting spot at fullback during your junior year, and you just told the coaches, "Nah, nah, I'm good."
I'll say possibly, man. I
Um,
mean, it wasn't that. I mean, there were other people that were there, and they were seniors. So it wasn't that it was just a shoe in, but it was asked. And like I say, hindsight is 2020. I definitely believe that if I would have went in and did what I had to do, at the end of the day, that would have been my spot. That's how I truly feel about it. But it wasn't
okay.
just, oh yeah, you move, man. This your starting spot. I mean, they tried to move me to tight end one
Hmm.
time. Coach Reeves brought that up, and once again, now if you would say a starter, it might have made a little bit more difference. But at the same time, I think it would have went back to my logic. If I move, this ain't the position
Hmm.
I want to play. Is I thought I was a tailback, and that's what I wanted to be.
Hmm. Okay. So I guess what I'm hearing is they offered you or brought to you a proposal about playing fullback,
Hmm.
and like you said, there was going to be a competition there, but you felt like at the end of the day, you would have won over and been had the opportunity to be the starting fullback.
Yep.
So, and you're saying there's a second time where they came to you about changing positions to tight end, and it was kind of a similar situation where maybe you kind of felt like as long as you did what you needed to do, you would have had an opportunity to take over a starting position there
Yeah.
also, and you declined that also.
Yeah, they were mentioned to me, man. I mean, I think the one with
Hmm.
fullback was more. It was more of a conversation between me and the running backs coach. That was more of that was more of a conversation. The tight end one, that was I don't know if they were around the same time or not, man. I remember it was around 2 days. It was just asked, it was brought up. Have you ever thought
Hmm.
about it from another coach? And I was like, no. And so that was kind of
Hmm.
it for me, man. Like I mean,
Well,
anybody who know me.
I'm just saying, do you think the coaches may have just been trying, from their perspective, trying to just put you in a position to where they maybe felt like you would have been more productive for the team?
Oh man, I mean maybe so. Honestly, I mean maybe so. I have no idea. But I mean, like I said, hindsight is 2020. That's me. You looking at the older me now, looking at it and probably like, well, it could have been. That's what it could have been. But at the time, man, I mean, I felt like there was people in those spots, but apparently you saw talent and you wanted to move talent around. And I mean, it could help the
Hmm.
team, but at the same time, I'm looking at they, I can only see what I see now. If I see what I mean, like I wasn't
Right.
smart enough to see, I guess, open minded enough to see that at even at tight end, if I did try that spot, I saw how you were utilizing the tight ends already. I saw how you were utilizing
Hmm.
the fullbacks already. So I mean, what's a 30 trap, a 32 trap, man? I'm like, dude, that's all you gonna give me? Like, you only gonna feed me that ball a few times. Like I wanted, a fullback get it 5 times. I know the tailback gonna get at least 12 to 15 times a game. I want that, and so that was my
Hmm.
thinking, man. So what I saw instead of
Okay.
maybe taking it out on I guess taking it out on faith or just taking it and saying, hey, I can go over there and do something. I can go this position and do something different. My mind wasn't there. I didn't
Right.
realize, I didn't see it as that at that time.
I got you. So, what was your relationship like with your teammates?
My teammates, man,
Mm-hmm.
that was definitely something I didn't like, but and didn't like me. I guess. But for the most part, man, I even my teammates that I didn't like, on game day, when it came down to it on game day, and if it got into anything, even outside of game day, you still my teammate. So, but for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, man, I would say 97%. Or even 98. I even go so far as 98% because some people I just didn't know, but I would say about 98%, man. Um,
Like,
love had
well,
good
you said
relationships, man.
98%. You said 98% you had good relationships with?
Yeah, had good relationships, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I was just going back to your comment earlier. You was like, you didn't like it. So,
I didn't like what
um,
some
um,
people. No, I'm saying like some. Yeah, of course there was some on the team that I didn't like. I
mm,
mean, we didn't. We clashed, man. Like I'm peanut
mm,
butter, you jelly. We don't go together. Well, peanut butter jelly go together. It was whatever it is, man. We just did. We all in water. We just didn't
mm,
mix. So the best thing we can do
mm,
is, and you make a good play on if you're on defense or offense, you make a good play. High five you and go on about my business, and vice versa. We
mm.
ain't friends. So
Right. Okay.
we brought.
So would you have considered yourself a leader in the locker room?
I definitely feel like my senior year, yeah.
Mm,
Senior year I did. The other years, definitely my junior and sophomore, I believe that it was more. I'm a person that believe in playing my position. Like at the end of the day, if I mean now if a senior is if I'm a sophomore and a senior and you have seniors there, I'm not trying to come over there and just like over talk to seniors. You know what I mean? Like this your
mm,
shot. This your time to shine. I've always believed in rank, man. So I gave way to that. But when it comes to, like, say, if I'm on the football field, as far as JV, yeah. When I was doing JV, I was a leader in JV. When I went over to varsity and dressing out varsity, I mean, what can you say when you barely playing? Like you
mm.
can't really say much. But then when I got into those roles, it was like leadership was just it automatically comes on you when you get into those roles,
Okay.
as far as
Right.
playing a lot stuff like that on those
So
levels.
as you're moving into your senior season, like was there any difference in your preparation coming into your senior season as far as off season workouts and things of that nature?
I'll say off season workout, no. Off season workout, I mean, I definitely took it more seriously. I feel like it was I feel like that torch was being handed over because those
Mm-hmm.
seniors left, and of course, like I say, I knew I had a pretty good relationship with majority of those, and especially the offense, the quarterback and the running back, and that torch was I feel like that torch was being passed over, man. So it was automatic that it's no BS. Like you can't come in BS. Now, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
knew that I wasn't gonna miss a workout. Like we had mandatory and voluntary workouts during the summer that Coach Brewer did implement. And I mean, I made sure I was gonna be there for every last one of them. I was gonna give my all, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have, like I say, once again, I didn't have the knowledge or my mind wasn't even open to trying to do more stuff going outside of that. I thought that was what I was supposed to be doing. So I approached that with
Right.
like that's my job. Whether I'm
Okay.
working in the summer or not, that's my job to make sure that I get this work out of
I got you. So as you saw previous teams, varsity teams, not necessarily have the success that they wanted and looked for, did you think like you coming into your senior season that you'd be able to change that as far as
it.
like winning percentages and things like that?
Definitely. Definitely, man. I mean, it's always, usually when it's your time, you can't wait till your time, or when you like, when somebody's doing something, everybody's like, oh man, when I get there, we gonna do something different. Once again, I mean, when you put the shoes on, you kind of see it's a. It can be hard. It's hard. There's other factors that you didn't really think about, or whatever you just wasn't exposed to. I definitely thought that we were going to right the ship, and that 5-5 curse. We thought we were going to break that, and man, it was a little harder than what we thought.
Right. So, like, what was your relationship with like your coaches during that time?
Man, the coaches was good, man. Uh, Once again, the coach that we had, he was Coach Brewer, man. He was bringing in a new offense. That was, I want to say,
Hmm.
his first year of head coaching at Southwood, I believe. So he's bringing a new offense, man. More of a spread out offense, a one back offense, which I like that. But we were doing no huddle.
Hmm.
It was a no huddle, and you know, uh, I never forget that practice, man. He was trying to change the offense, and he wanted to air the ball out, which was fine. But the no huddle, we had these wristbands, man, with all the plays on it, and you throw it at us at just the blink of an eye, and we out there look like crap. Defense looked good, and we out there look like crap, man. And so we had a
Hmm.
little we had a little internal battle there. I remember one time I was like, man, I'm like, they ain't on the plays. We need to huddle. Like, you telling us these numbers, but the quarterback, he can't really say that. He's saying the number. He's saying the number, but he telling the wrong number. Everybody, he yelling the wrong number out there. Everybody, I hear the play because you right behind me. And I mean, so it got a little shaky, man. He told me stop bitching him. I took that seriously, man. So uh, it took a little damage control, man, on that one. But after that, we were pretty good.
Well, I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong. You coming into your senior season, you looking at yourself as a leader, and obviously trying to make that playoff push. And like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. You got a brand new starting quarterback also.
Yeah, yeah, we did, man. We did, man.
So
Hell of an arm, but like I said, once again, learning curve.
right. Well, kind of speak to me like on that relationship. Like I said, you viewing yourself as a leader coming in for your senior season, and you got a new quarterback that anybody that's going to be starting varsity at the quarterback position for the first time. There's going to be some transition there.
Yeah.
Can you kind of speak to like your relationship with the QB?
Yeah. Dang, man, I'm like Renell. I'm trying not to drop names, man, but it's just like you just kind of it just happened when you're talking about it, man. But Joe, I mean, I think me and Joe had a good relationship, man. I mean, Joe was, I mean, of course, sometimes Joe took life kind of, I mean, free. He took life kind of free, man.
Mm,
He was like playing around. I'm like, hey, Joe, man, you got to get the play down, man. You got to say the play right. And he's like joking and saying, and it's like, dude, we got to be serious. But me and him,
mm,
we never got into it. We never got into it. We
mm.
had that kind of relationship where honestly we could talk, and so I mean, I think our relationship was pretty good, man.
Okay.
But it wasn't.
So okay, yeah. So how did you handle like moving through the season and obviously like you said, not necessarily having the success that you were looking to have.
Mhm.
Like how did you handle that?
Oh man, I remember a few games, man. Joe couldn't get the play out, man. I was saying the play, and I mean we sometimes we go to huddle, man, and I'll say the play, and I mean it was a running play, so I'll say the play, or whatever like that, and so I mean that was kind of like my way of kind of taking over sometimes when, I mean, and it wasn't from I don't think his inability to do it. I think just sometimes maybe nerves in the game or being flushed, he get tongue tied, and that was my way of kind of taking over, man. And
Hmm.
I just remember he'll say A2 appreciate it, and so because that was my number. So um, yeah, man, that's kind of how it was.
Hmm. But as like the season moved on and like I said, you the record's not reflecting what you think it should reflect. Like
Yeah.
did you do anything different or try to rally the team or the offense
Oh,
or talk to
definitely.
the coaching staff in reference to anything that you could do to kind of right the ship before the end of the season?
Talking to the coaching staff, man, I don't know. I didn't talk anything extra to them than what we usually do.
Hmm.
I mean, we were pretty open in the film sessions, man, and in practice, to be honest with you. Trying to think, what did I do to try to right the ship? I mean, yeah, I tried to motivate the guys as much as I possibly could. I mean, yeah, as you know, I don't know if it's like this everywhere else, but you know how it is at Southwood. It's always offense and defense against each other, man. It's two teams on one
Yeah.
team, man. It wasn't my responsibility to get the defense pumped up. We were trying to, you know, just tried to make sure I talked to my guys, as much as I possibly could, did what I thought I was doing as a leader to try to motivate them, talk to them, put it on my back, like, hey, even if I'm tired, give me the ball. Just
Hmm.
let me fall, don't let me fumble. Like that's just my thing was like, let me put it on my back and try to do as much as I can. I think I did that. Um, and that's just about that. That's about the extent of what I did, man. I mean, uh, I can't remember every conversation, but I've tried to
Hmm.
be that vocal one on the offense, man. I mean, and plus I had a good relationship with my offensive line. Sometimes I just went to them and just like, hey, big nasties, we need y'all to get in it. Like I need y'all to get in it. Five. I just need
Right.
5 yards, man.
Hmm.
So
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting what you said earlier, because I had spoke with somebody else earlier, and they said something similar as it relates to like the offense and the defense being totally separate and not necessarily feeling like a complete team. They felt
mhm.
like it was the offense and it was the defense, and never that we were one unit. So,
Yeah,
like I said, you echoed the same thing, and this person played
yeah,
4 years
yeah.
before you did,
And
so that culture was still there.
yeah, yeah, and I'll clear it up just a little bit, man. I think that, like you say, you definitely knew it was offense and defense.
Hmm.
You definitely knew it. For some of the people that might watch that wasn't familiar with that kind of culture. Like we were all a band of brothers. And we had each other back, but just all I mean, you just if you know, you know. That's just really what it is,
Hmm.
man. It was a off, defense held their own. They talked to themselves, man. I mean, you can be best friends with a defensive player, or vice versa, be best friends with an offensive player. If y'all on different sides of the ball, man, I mean, it's kind of the approach is a little different, man. That's just how it was.
Right. So obviously, like I said, we mentioned this team didn't necessarily perform as well as everybody expected to. But how did you feel like you performed individually during your senior season?
I think I did well, man. There's definitely a lot of things that, of course, even after the games, watching film, because a lot of times, man, as soon as they had the tape, in which that was probably what that Saturday they would cut the tapes or whatever, have the tapes available, or that Monday. As soon as I got the tapes, man, I was trying to look at them. Of course, trying to get home, and I wanted to see the news to see what I could see. I was trying to find anything I could find to see that game. Anybody had, like my dad, if he wasn't able to record the game, I just wanted to see whatever I could do. And like I said, I definitely felt like there were some things I left on the field that I could have done a little bit different. So did I do 100%? At the time, I did, but I always felt like that was more than I could have done.
Right. Okay.
Maybe
As
maybe a
your
move to the outside, maybe I don't know, man. Maybe seeing this person coming from a right and kind of juke to the left. It's a lot, man. Like I say, so I feel like I still could have done a lot.
right. Well, yeah, and I think anybody who's played any kind of organized sports, you're not gonna see every play all the time.
Yeah,
So there's gonna be things that you miss that you can go back on film and identify that you should have done a little differently. But I mean, as the season ended, like just maybe overall, like statistically, how do you feel like you performed?
I think I did good, man. I mean, I really believe. I mean, I really believe I did what I had to do to help my team. I did my part. But once again, I mean, it's not my record was the same as their record. So
Hmm.
at the end of the day, for me, it was, man, we still 5-5, man. I put more pressure on myself than I think anybody else put, and I mean, I think we had a locker room with a lot of guys like that. We wanted to right
Hmm.
that ship. We came together, and a lot of us came over together, and as a freshman, and we wanted to right that ship, man. And I want to not say right the ship. We wanted to just change things around, man. We wanted to be the one, to end the drought of going to the playoffs. We wanted to have not just a 500 season. We wanted to we wanted to do better. We had higher expectations, man. So, uh, like I say for myself, I mean, I was the leading rusher and receiver for the team, but so I mean, of course, I think I did my part. I was the go-to guy, but at the same time, uh, I still feel like, man, I could have did more.
Right. Okay. So as your senior season winds down, like, so what are your thoughts? You know, as it relates to your playing career moving forward. Like, did you kind of have a plan? Did you have conversation with your coaches, your parents? Like, what did that look like?
Oh man, the latter two I did. The first one I did not have a plan, man. I was waiting for a letter in the mail, a call, something, and man, nothing came through. So it definitely it rocked me, man. When that didn't happen, of course, my parents they were supportive and trying to do what they could or what they knew to do. Everything that they knew or thought they could do. I had conversations with my coach, man, and um, like, hey, man, I ain't heard nothing. What's going on? And it's like, well, I sent your tape out. Nobody ain't said nothing. And so after that, man, they kind
Okay.
of,
And
but
I
yeah,
guess I
get
want
into
to roll
that.
back in that. So your coach, he actually put together a tape for you and sent it out.
Well, let's say this, man. We never saw the tapes. We saw the tapes. We saw the tapes, man. We saw the tapes that we watched every game, of every game. We never
Right.
saw
Right.
a highlight reel, man. The closest thing to a highlight reel that we saw maybe for an individual, the closest thing we saw for a highlight reel was not individual, man. It was, as you know, at the team luncheon at the end of the season, man, at the banquet when they're showing the highlights. That was the closest to a highlight reel that we've seen, man. I mean, I he said he sent tapes out. I personally asked him a few times. He said he sent them out. Man,
Did
I
he? Okay. And I'm
I
just
don't
gonna
know.
rest here a little bit.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
he told
Let's do
so
it.
he told you he sent tapes out. Did he tell you where he sent tapes out to?
Man, I mean, he did. He did say Northwestern, and
Okay.
I mean, of course, Alabama wasn't that. I mean, they were always a big school, but they wasn't on the cream of the top at that time. He said, I mean, I know he said Northwestern, Alabama, Louisiana Tech. He said that he sent tape out on all the seniors, but man, like I say, once again, uh, we didn't see those tapes. We didn't. I don't know, man. I mean, I mean, I'm getting kind of pissed off thinking about it, to be honest with you, man. Again, because like we did, like we put our trust in that, and like I said, he may have, and they may not have, just like what they saw, or didn't pay attention to it. But once again, I just think that with the talent that we did have, juniors and seniors that were playing, somebody would have gotten a nibble somewhere. I mean, even a
So
Grambling man.
and you were saying, so this Coach Brewer, this was his first year coaching as a head
It was
coach.
his first year coaching at Southwood, but he came from Huntington, man. So he was the head coach of Huntington when he came
Okay.
over.
So
He came
so he
over.
had he had I guess what I'm saying is, like, so he's had some previous relationships with some universities and some
Yeah.
community college and some Division II schools,
Hey, man, this wasn't his
that
first
he
rodeo, man. I'll cut that short. It wasn't his first rodeo. It wasn't his first.
okay. So did anyone during like your senior class get a scholarship anywhere?
No, no.
Okay.
I know. I think Tonio had a junior year. Tonio had. I think he was getting. I want to say. If I don't quote me on it, but I believe he had
Right.
got some letters from Tech his sophomore year. I mean, junior year. But honestly, man, I mean, we all stayed in contact, man. Nobody that we know had any letters coming in a senior year and had no offers provided to them.
Okay. And you just mentioned Antonio Robinson,
Yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong, he was the MVP of the district.
What was it?
Was he MVP of the district that year?
know, he and I were MVPs of the team. I don't
Okay.
recall who was the MVP of the district that year. He was
Okay.
defensive MVP. I was offensive MVP.
Okay. So, and like I said, as you had those conversations with your parents and your coaches, and you didn't necessarily get what you kind of felt like you were looking for. Like, how did your thought process transition from there?
It didn't, man. It didn't. It didn't. I had a Candyland mindset, man. Everything's gonna work. Like I just always
Okay.
thought it was gonna work. Because I didn't. I mean, my mind couldn't fathom, nothing else, nothing happening. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I mean, man, dude, I'm well into the summer, man. Like, truly thinking somebody's still gonna see a tape somewhere. Because it's just like I didn't know. I didn't know, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I take responsibility for that. I didn't know. I don't want to put it all on somebody else or put it on somebody else. I mean, I just know what I didn't do. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Wish we
Well,
had more
and I say
information.
that, and I think, like I said, just from I've spoken to multiple people by now. Like, I think there's a significant ignorance as it
Yeah,
relates to like the transition from like your senior season or really your junior season, going and starting that process and moving into college, just as it relates to how that whole process works. I think there's a lot
yeah,
more information out there now. I think the generations, those guys that are playing now, have a lot more transparency as it relates to
yeah,
how those processes work and what they really need to do to be seen. How they need to get into camps and kind of create a buzz or create notoriety for themselves. But I
hmm
think back then, as we're talking the early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of communication, at least from the conversations I've had, on the whole process for those athletes who were looking at, trying to extend their collegiate, extend their playing careers. Like, there just
yeah.
wasn't a lot of
Agree.
communication or transparency on what that process needed to look like, whether you had a scholarship or not. Like, even if
Yeah,
you didn't have a scholarship,
agree.
you spent a lot of time with this program. You would assume that the coach wasn't going to hold your hand through the whole process, but at least there would be a process set up to where you would need to know what to do and what the next steps were, instead of just trying to do stuff on your own and kind of just kind of shooting in the dark to kind of figure out what you needed to do.
Yeah, 100% agree.
So to that point, like you said, you were this is the summer after your senior year. You were still kind of looking for somebody to potentially give you a call or something to that effect. Like that during any time of that, were you reaching out to any schools on your own, or how did that look for
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I actually took. I mean, I went down to ULM one weekend, trying to find any coach I could find to put a tape. Me and my dad made highlight reels on the camcorder, man. I
Hmm.
was trying to put tape together and find it. Go down there and find a coach, man. And I went down there one weekend.
And
Being
this
staying
is
in
this is during the
Northwestern.
summer. This is still during the summer.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
during the summer. And so trying to, just trying to, I mean, because my mom was a big advocate. She was a pushing me. She was like, "Hey, man, I mean, right now nobody's saying anything. There's no movement. You got to go do something." And so,
Hmm.
uh, once again, a lot. I guess you could say a lot coming at you after you graduate. You still trying to have fun, but at the same time, and
Hmm.
you worried about you trying to, get into college and think about plans, and then I don't know if in everybody else's house, my mama like, hey, you going to college, you getting a job. So I mean that's another, that's a
Well,
lot.
I'd say it was going to college, get a job, or going to the military.
Exactly, exactly. I forgot about the third option. But yeah, so just I mean, I think for me being hit, to me that was a lot at that time. I mean, because it's
Hmm.
like people were telling you what to do for the most part. I mean, you kind of had
Hmm.
a schedule and kind of a guideline, you know,
Hmm.
while you were in school, from K to 12, but then, you're excited about being out, but you don't. For me, I didn't know my next steps pretty much. So when she kind of said all that and kind of put it in perspective, that's when me and my dad kind of got on the ball, started making our own tapes, and I was trying to go to, like I said, I went to Northwestern, went to ULM first, to be honest with you, went to Northwestern. I think that's honestly why I remember when you called. I want to say, can't remember what year you graduated from Tech, man. Was that my first? Was that when I graduated from high school or not? But that was one of the reasons why I went. Another reason why I went down there with, because I was like, man, if I see a coach, I'm definitely going. I'm definitely going to introduce myself and kind of see if I can get somewhere to send this tape to. So I mean, but
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of for me, kind of spread. I wasn't thinking about. There's a lot of schools that I didn't really know about. Man, I have people out here in Houston. I could have sent tapes out here, even come out here to visit and trying to go do the same thing at the University of Houston. I had no idea about that school. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, my mind was so limited, man. I only had those three schools that I really knew about, that I wanted, that I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't mind playing for. And my mom, I mean, my mom, she was an advocate of HBCUs the whole time. She was like, "Hey, go to Grambling Southern," and I'm like, "Man, they wearing Rydell. They're not, they're not on TV, And, I mean, once again, that's that mindset, man.
So
That
was that kind
mindset
of your
of,
deal? Like it had to be a D1 school?
oh yeah, definitely, definitely, man.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted, I think once again, bright eyed, big
Mm-hmm.
dreams and dumb. I just wanted the biggest and the best, and I think I overlooked those opportunities or those chances or those ideas that my mom, brought up
Well,
for the
and
HBCUs.
no, like us, and I think that around that time frame when you're looking in, maybe the mid '90s, late '90s into the 2000s, there was a significant transition from players even knowing about HBCUs, top
Exactly.
players going to HBCUs, because like you mentioned earlier, like you wanted to play on TV. That's who you saw on TV. Really, for the most
Yeah.
part, the only HBCU you saw on TV was Bayou Classic, for the
Exactly.
most part. So I think the HBCUs kind of got a bad rap,
Yeah. Definitely.
and I think a lot of players that probably should have gone to HBCUs didn't,
Yeah.
just because of a lack of notoriety, and even some of those top players that were going there before, they started going to the D1 programs because they were on TV, and they had opportunity to for their family to see them play on TV,
Definitely.
periodically. So I think the
Definitely.
education there, is coming back. Obviously,
Yeah.
with some of these other NFL coaches, or NFL players are starting to go and coach at the HBCUs. So there's a lot more notoriety starting to come there, and it's driving some traction, for some of these
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5-star recruits to come back, to the HBCUs.
Definitely.
And even which was never even discussed. I'm pretty sure during your time was even an opportunity to go to like a JUCO, a junior college. And a lot of times when
Yeah.
players go there, you can play immediately. Like you playing
Yeah. Definitely.
immediately. Like you can play one season, and they have scouts there from Division II and Division I schools, coming in to
Hmm.
pick those players up pretty much every semester.
Yeah.
So even to have that conversation where maybe if you don't play D1, maybe not D2, just depending on where you're at academically, hey, you can go to the JUCO for a year, and then you can end up at a D1 program as they come to recruit
Yeah.
you. But I just think that a lot of those conversations were never had. And correct me if I'm wrong, you may have had some, but a lot of those conversations were never had as it relates to options. I think if
Yeah.
a lot of these athletes know all the options that are in front of them, then you're
Hmm.
that much more educated to make a wise decision. But if you're not
Right.
necessarily getting a lot of clarity from whoever you're getting advice from, it hurts you in your decision making process.
Definitely. Definitely. I agree with everything you said 100%, man. I will say that I want to say that you remember the JUCO that was the only JUCO that I heard about that was mentioned was the one in Alexandria. That came up. I think that was after I graduated, and I actually heard about
Hmm.
that through someone else. But like I say, that JUCO option never came up, man.
Yeah, because I think for the most part, a lot of people, if they know that they can play immediately, like if I can come in and I know I just graduated into my senior year, I may not necessarily have a shot at this D1 opportunity, but if I can go to this JUCO and play immediately, and then maybe down the line have another opportunity to move over to a D1, I think that would be something that a lot of players would be interested in. But like I
Yeah,
said,
definitely.
a lot of people didn't know.
Yeah, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
So, like I said, you kind of mentioned you put your some tapes together, took them out to 3 schools. So what happened when you got to the campuses? Did you actually find anybody? Did you get in contact with anybody? How did that work? Because I guess you were just kind of going out there cold turkey, man, seeing who you could run into.
And the coldest turkey you can find, man. It was still still in the store, wrapped up, frozen, man. Like, it was bad, man. I mean, I'd like to say once again, young, dumb, man, big, big eyes and big dreams and big hopes, man. But didn't have a plan. Like, renting cars to go down to these places, which they're not far from Shreveport, but you know, going down there, man, and you getting down there going on a whim. I didn't think to call and try to talk to somebody. It's like, hey, they gotta be there. That was another learning experience, man. Football season, them coaches gone, man. After football season, man, they're not even. A lot of times they're not even on campus. They're in a whole other state sometimes. I know with ULM, I actually talked to I think one of the strength and conditioning coaches, man. He was there, and so I don't even know if that tape got put. I mean, what I'm saying, I don't even know if that tape got looked at, to be honest with you. But I know I had my information on there. I had my name, my age and my address and my my phone number on it, man. I thought I was Gucci right there, man. But once again, young, dumb, and stupid, man. Not planning it out. Didn't think to go further than that, to call and try to see if I can get an appointment with somebody or follow back up. It was just and same thing in Northwestern. I put it in the hands of someone there that was there. All I know was like, yeah, it put on. I know I saw him put it on the desk, man, and that was it. And like I said, tech, man. I didn't find anybody when we went down there, but like I say, once again, dropping off a tape, man. Don't know where it's gonna go, man. Like once again, to me, it's out my hands. Oh, it's going to the right place. That's how I thought. Not thinking that. No, brother, that's not it. You got to do some more work on that one.
Right. So obviously you went and did that, and I'm assuming like you didn't hear back from anybody. So was your plan just to go somewhere and walk on, or like what was your next steps?
That was a plan, man. Like I said, I thought about it once again, not really thinking too far into it, man. Just knowing that, hey, I'm a senior. I was a senior. I graduated. It's gonna happen. I was good, but man, I actually ended up going to JUCO and in Shreveport, Bipsy. Went to Bipsy, man. And like I say, at the end of the day, I mean, burned the midnight oil, man. Made that decision, and cause like I say, I didn't do anything else. So that was a year right there, and that goes into kind of. I'm pretty sure we're gonna talk about it. Goes into that clock already started right there. So that's where, but didn't have any knowledge of that. So that clock started there. Went there for a year, and then like I say,
well, kind of take me to that. So why was your decision to go to Bipsy? I guess I'm asking that question because they didn't even have a football team.
Yeah. No, they didn't. I mean, but I had at the end of the day, I was trying to get into school, man, and so when like I say, once again, I'm dropping tapes off. Just know I'm gonna hear something back. Not planning nothing out, man, and here it comes, man. I mean. You can try to get. I mean, deadlines have passed with these schools, man, and with enrollment and stuff. And I mean, like you say, service, work, school. One of them three options, man. And brother took that school option, man. And my mama said, you ain't staying. You ain't gonna be just sitting around here, man. So I went on ahead and went to Bipsy, man, because I mean how she sold it to me too as well was like, hey, you can go on and get your remedials and stuff. Any remedials that you might have to take, any classes that you can go on and get your entry level classes out the way, so you don't have to worry about that when you go. And so she always had a good spin on stuff. So man, I mean, I took that and ran with it, man.
Okay, so you said you spent that first year at Bipsy.
Yeah.
Then what was your plans after that? Was your plans ever to play again, or were you just kind of
young and dumb, still thinking somebody gonna see that tape, man? Like,
okay,
it done like say once again, and then it's like, hey, I didn't want to. I guess the thought never came to my head, man. I was too optimistic that I was gonna have to go somewhere and walk on. But honestly, if you ain't got a call, man, by the time school start, you gonna have to go walk on somewhere, man. Like you ain't
Mm-hmm.
that's not gonna happen. I mean, it could happen, but 9 out of 10, you ain't gonna get that call. So, man, like I say, and then I didn't stay consistent as well. I went to school, man, but I was chasing some other stuff at the same time, man. So,
Okay,
not
that's a
thinking
nice way
about
to put it.
yeah, exactly. Not fully focused, man. Knew what I wanted to do, man. But once again, there could have been times where now that those coaches are there, even though you haven't heard anything, okay, yeah, you going into your first year of college, man. Go back. Now you know they're there. Even if you just gonna go cold turkey, go back and talk to them. Go back, take another take. The stuff that I can think about now because I'm older. Just to me, like I say, once again, I'm smarter now than what I was. And I didn't think about that stuff then. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, with the procrastination, man, not thinking, like you say, chasing the wrong stuff, man, knowing what I want to do, but still, you know, doing what I do, man, before you know it, it was a year. That year moved, and then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, well, all right, I'm gonna go and try to do something. I'm trying to go off. I'm trying to go to talk to Northwestern again, try to apply for Northwestern. Once again, waited too late to apply for Northwestern. Found myself at Southern, man. Southern on the Cooper Road. I did a semester there before I went to Northwestern. So that's a year and a half right there off of that clock that I didn't even know
Okay.
that already started.
So where were you at, like, athletically? Like, were you still working out? Were you still training during this time? Like,
I mean, I was. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I was, man, still working out and stuff. I think we all were kind of going to the gym around that time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, meeting up at the gym and stuff like that. But, man, dude, I mean, wasn't I wasn't running like that. Like, what I'm saying, you more about the muscle, you trying to work out and bench press and dumbbell, all that stuff, squat, and you might go out and do some. 'Cause I remember we did some when you were on break at school, man. We did some drills at Southwood one day, a dreary day, man, and I almost died out there, man, because like you just wasn't thinking like that, man. Just wasn't thinking things through, man. So like I say, I think strength wise, I could compete, but conditioning wise, man, that was a whole nother world.
Okay, so you say you end up spending the year at Bossier Parish Community College in Bossier City.
Yeah,
Then you spent another semester at Southern University's satellite campus in Shreveport.
yeah,
And then after that,
yeah.
you transitioned, you sent to
Went to
Northwestern.
Yeah, man. Finally, I think when I missed Northwest, I had to spend that. That's when I realized I was gonna have to do another semester here at home, man. Where at home, I mean, man, I kind of got on my deal trying to at least get my admissions and stuff in at Northwestern, man. So I did that while I was going over to Southern, man, and trying to do that, man. Go to Southern and got into Southern, got accepted in Southern, and so shortly after that, man, I started like putting my paperwork in, trying to do my application and stuff for Northwestern for the following semester.
Okay,
'Cause
so you get
I just had to
into
make a move.
yeah, you get into Northwestern. So
Yeah,
is that where you start to have those conversations with the coaches, or
yeah, yeah, man. When I got there, after I got there, that's when I started having the conversation with the coaches, man. At Northwestern, man, when I was going there, staying in Rapides dorm, man. Went out there and go out there. Now I'm seeing 6'4", 6'5", dudes. And I'm like, what the hell is this, dog? Like these boys big, you know. So okay, hey, this is what I got to deal with. But man, talking with him, man, he seemed like it actually seemed like he was a pretty good dude. He said he had never saw, what kind of talk to him. I told him that I did bring tape or whatever before. And he said he never saw tape on me or whatever like that. I did tell him, I was like, he said he never heard of me, man. I'm like, my coach said he sent tape out down there and everything. So I mean, he was like, yeah, man. He's like, I'm not lying to you. I've never,
well, I'm
I'm
just saying
not, I didn't know.
I'm assuming at this point this is 2 years
A
after.
year, yeah, that's 2 years after, man.
Yeah,
So
so
I mean, but
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. He was a pretty open guy. He's a pretty cool guy. to when I went there and I had that conversation with him or whatever. And he said, and he was like, okay. He's like, well, we have our walk on practice, whatever conditioning practice. If you can make it through there, then you good. And that was a whole different beast, man. That conditioning plan, dude. I made it. I made it through one of them, man, and I literally died. I died in the car, man. When I went back, I man, after that, cause the walk-ons the conditioning for the walk-ons, all their walk-ons, whether you track, basketball, all this stuff, they did all the conditioning coach. They did their stuff at the evening time, whereas more at nighttime. Man, it's about 7, and so we kind of had that conditioning, man. And
Was
after
it?
that, I
Was
thought I was going
this?
to
This was in the. This was in the spring or this was in the fall?
Yeah, because when I went down, man, it was in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
When I went down, it was in the spring because, like I said, I did right afterwards. Did the year in BPCC, did that, transferred over to Southern in the fall, and went down. Then transferred to Northwestern in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, we were doing that, man, and like I said, once again, young, dumb, not really thinking, not catching on in my head, man, that you need to be, man, that's 2 years, pretty much 2 years now that you that you had time to work on stuff. You should have been thinking about other stuff and more committed. And like I say, man, he told me a new one that day, man. I mean, I got back. I mean, it was some chicks out there, so I couldn't give up. They were for track, so I couldn't give up. Man, the last drill we did, man, I've never seen nobody do drills and you tired, man. It felt like we were running for hours, man, doing drills. And he's like, that's just a warm up. And then you start doing other stuff. And I'm like, then we had to do drills at the end. And I remember it was like a W drill, man, with them doggone cones, man. Bruh. If it was those chicks wasn't out there, I would have. I remember the last one, I failed, man, and I laid down for a second. He's like, get up, get up. If them chicks wasn't out there, man, I wouldn't have got up, man. And so yeah, so that was an experience for me, man.
Well, so like you said, you go through this first practice, and like you said, it kind of put you through the ringer, and I think they put everybody through the ringer because that's just a test at the end of the day.
Weed you out.
Yeah. So where did you stand after that?
Well, man, I got a shot to do some conditioning with the team, man, and that one right there, man, that one took me out. That one took me out, man. Man, those 2 years, I mean, I felt every part of it. To be honest with you, man, I mean, I thought I did something. I was like, I thought I could handle it because once again, I was able to do that the conditioning with the conditioning coach or whatever. I thought I could hang, man. After that, man, that boy, we got on the field with those guys, man, had the purple shorts on. I thought I was official, man. Mm-hmm. That was it for me, man. I put the purple shorts on one time.
So you went through like you said, the walk-on conditioning was on, whatever day, and like you said, you kind of pressed through or pushed through that. So was that like the next day you started practicing or started conditioning with the team, or was that the next week?
Yeah. No, man, because we did it. I want to say it was like when I talked to him, I want to say it was like a Thursday. When I talked to the coach, we had that conversation on a day, and he told me about, what they do about the walk-on conditioning or whatever that night. And so we did it. So I went out there that night or whatever. And so that next week I did, like say I was, he told me I could, I went back and checked with him. I told him I kind of passed it, man. I survived through. He said that the condition coach did say so. Me and everybody that was there trying to walk on football, we were able to come out and work out with the team, man. And like I say, that next week worked out, man. And
so what kind of workout was it? Was it just like a normal conditioning workout, or?
Oh yeah, man. This was conditioning on the field during the daytime, man.
Okay.
I was wishing that we could go back to the nighttime practice, and dude, by the time we got to the 110s, man, I was done. Mm-hmm. I was done, man. I think I did a few 110s, man, after we did all those drills and stuff like that, and we got to the 110s, man, and like I say, once again, I wish that I would have, I guess, just took stuff just a little bit more seriously before, in the meantime when I wasn't doing stuff, because
Mm-hmm.
that was a whole that was a whole different level of conditioning for me, man.
Right.
Like, I just messed that up, I believe.
Right. So do you say you think you were properly prepared based on everything that you experienced in high school for like college level conditioning?
Maybe if I would have came, maybe if I went to a school and I went somewhere and was playing right afterwards. I think
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, because your body's still going. You still it's not that long of a breakover. I mean, anybody can survive a summer, but when you
Mm-hmm.
start talking about a whole year, now you talked about, man. I mean, you ain't gonna get off the couch and just do that. But in my case, 2 years, a little run here or there. I hated to just jog, man. I hated to jog. Now we go out there sprint, doing 40s or something like that, do 100, a sprint or something like that. That was fine, and those things happen every now and then. But man, you know that just don't work, man. You can't just,
Mm-hmm.
like, in high school. You might, you get out in the summertime, and you may not really work out like that during the summer. But then when you come back for 2 days, you know, for the season or whatever, before the season, you have that. I mean, you can adjust to that. That's not
Right.
that's nothing. But when you talking about layover time and you're
Mm-hmm.
not really doing nothing like that, nah, man.
Okay.
You ain't gonna. To me, I know I wasn't gonna transition like that.
Right.
And so if I
So
would have came straight out of school, yeah, I think I would have been better suited to handle it and adjust to it. But that's on me not being consistent enough in those 2 years before I got the opportunity. Not doing nothing, not doing enough. That part was on me.
right.
I wasn't
So
conditioned good
you
enough.
go through the workout with the team, and you say
Hmm.
like, so you just kind of walk me through the workout. Like, did you finish the workout or?
Man, no, I did not. Man, all the 110s, man, like the sprints, bro. Man, I'm trying not to say what I said in my mind, man. I mean, man, it was like, F it, bro. Like, this is what I gotta do every day, dog. Like, nah, like, bro, that was a lot of work, man. And I remember, I remember, man. After I just couldn't go no more, man. And dudes was just still out there just going.
Mm,
And dude, I literally went up in the stands, man, just sat there, dog, with the feet. Like, I'm
mm.
watching these boys. And honestly, I'm not gonna. I couldn't even make it to the car. So that's really why I went to the stands, man, and sat down. I mean, I
Okay.
couldn't. I couldn't, man. I was done, man. Like, I was so gassed,
Right.
man, dude. It took me 30 minutes, 30 or 40 minutes to really get my breath back, man. Like, just to
Mm-hmm.
truly, like, feel like, I mean, man, it's like, if you're playing a video game and you start getting shot and dying, man, you start seeing the screen get black and black and get smaller and smaller. Dude, I felt like I was gonna freaking die, bro. So, um,
Well,
bro,
that
like, I
that
sat down.
that that collegiate level of conditioning is on another level. So I know
Oh
exactly
yeah,
what you're
man,
talking about with the 110s. So yeah,
man,
if you
made
don't
me believe
if
with the
you're not there mentally and physically, like you gonna struggle.
I've never been somewhere where I never, no one ever conditionally. I mean, of course, it's whether it's outside of high school workout or high school workout. I've never been to the point where, man, like, I was about to throw up, bro. That
Hmm.
that's just that made me feel like a female dog, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I was. Nah, I've never felt that disgusting in my life, man, and myself, man. But I mean, yeah, it was bad, man.
Like, so you
Yeah,
didn't
it
think
was
that the
hard.
kind of
I ain't gonna make myself
like
look that crazy.
reset. You didn't think kind of like the reset and kind of get in shape and then try it again, or at that point were you were just done altogether?
Yeah. Oh man, they had a thing, man, and that's where they were tough. And I mean, because the strength and conditioning coach told us at the walk on conditioning practice, he was like, "Hey, if you don't finish, you don't come back." I mean, he literally said that. So I knew how it went, from doing that conditioning practice with the walk on. that night, man. And so people who didn't finish, he told them, "Hey, appreciate you, but you don't make it. Like you can't come back." And that's just how it was. And so
Mm.
I mean that's why I say like when you said this, how it is with walk-ons. It's more to weed them out. And I mean you didn't have that opportunity to you didn't have that opportunity to not finish a workout and then come back. That just wasn't what it
Mm.
was. Like I say, my saving grace were the girls on that night. So, but when I got with the team that time, the next week, man, nah,
Mm.
I didn't have that extra motivation. I guess, man. I mean, I was gassed, man.
Right. So I guess at that point, what's your mindset? You're just looking at it as your career, your playing career as you see it. What was left on that Northwestern field that day?
No, man. I mean, it took me a while to kind of get to the place I can think about it again. To be honest with you, man. But I just knew, like, after, because honestly, I actually went back and talked to the strength and conditioning coach a couple of days later, and was like,
Okay.
hey, man, like, I like another shot. This what it was, man. Like, I wasn't ready. I was overwhelmed, man, and like, or whatever. And he was like, well, same thing. Like I said, when, with the walk on, that's how it is. That walk
Mm.
on practice, that's how it is, man. And so, and I can say the dude wasn't lying, man, because I wasn't the only one that didn't make it.
Mm.
That quit in that workout. Cause like I say, you talking about, man, somebody sitting on walked in the stadium and sat on that dog on the first bleachers, man. I say I wasn't the only one doing that. So it was a lot of
Mm.
people, man. I'm saying a lot. There was a few people, man, that I didn't even know. If you couldn't get past that conditioning, man, that was it. That was their way of kind of knocking down that roster, man. I mean, hey, you're not a part of this team, and so couldn't do nothing but respect it. But I mean, I did everything in me, man, to try to talk to him. The next couple of days, man, and he was like, "Sorry, man, that's just how the rules go." So I already knew then Northwestern ain't for me. So
Mm.
I was trying to, in my head, I already did some transferring. Hell, I'm about to go talk to ULM now. So I'm gonna try my luck down there. So I mean, the dream was still alive, man. I still had that dream, man, that I wanted to play. So
Okay.
did a semester. I did that semester down there, and I think I did two semesters in Northwestern, and then I went down to I actually went down to did my paperwork, went over to ULM and did like because you had to go there sometimes and fill out some papers and stuff like that.
Mm.
And so I went there, did all that stuff, man. Actually talked with the coaches or with the head coach. Crap, his name started with an M, man. Um, he was there when they changed over from Northeast to Northwestern. I mean, from
Okay.
what was it, Northeast to ULM? I
Yes.
forgot his name, man. But talked to him, and he was like, "Yeah, come on to come." And I told him I wanted to walk on and stuff like that. And he was like, "Of course, we got to look at your pay." He said, you got to look at your um, the clearinghouse and all that stuff." He was like, "So
Mm.
that was the first coach that I felt like. I mean, like, well, other coach was good at Northwestern, but I really felt like I was like, okay, all is gonna come to a head, man. This I'm about to really get on the field here. This is where I'm supposed to be at, man.
Mm.
Once I started school there and went to go do that paperwork and stuff, man, and actually was like after that butt whooping at Northwestern, man. I mean, I started doing stuff to like more conditioning, so I was really ready for that, man. And went through that stuff, man. They looked at my thing. He was like, "Man, you only have a semester left," and I'm just
Mm.
like, "So hell, I did all this now, man, and now
Well, you're saying like
this is
a
what I got to do."
semester plan, or you talking
Eligibility,
about?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, eligibility, man. So, and I mean, that's going into the spring. So, I mean, I mean, really, what was I gonna do?
Mm.
I mean, I can practice and go out there and shoot my shot for the spring, but what's that's gonna do?
Mm.
So, I mean, that was the pin in my balloon, man.
Mm.
That ended my career right there.
Right. So you didn't have any like aspirations of trying to play like any kind of semi-pro or arena league or?
Uh, I never really got into arena league, man, because it's a passing
Mm,
thing to me. It's more of a passing. It's a passing league, man. Of course, they had stuff back home. They had that team back home, the arena football team. Um, and so I mean, I did try out one time, man, for I think it was after because they had two teams before. I think they changed their name or something like that.
mm,
The arena football team at home, man. I tried that one time, man, and like I said, I think they had two running backs or something on their roster, man. And so I mean, all the guys that I knew that tried out that played different positions, nobody got a call back, man. And so after that, that was kind of it for me, man. After that, because it was like I can't keep on trying to do something, and man, it's not working out.
right. So do you feel like it was easy for you to finally step away, or did you still have a tough time once you kind of understood that your playing career was over?
Oh man, let me say this. Hell no. It was nothing easy about stepping away. Once again, man, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, football was still my passion, man. It was still my passion. So it was, I couldn't even go to, honestly, man, I may have gone to one high school game since I've left high school, man. That's just how, for me, like, it was tough to, because for me, I relived that. Because one,
Hmm.
I feel like apparently I wasn't good enough to go to the next level. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thing. I wasn't good enough to go to the next level. I'm not looking at whether tapes were out there or not. If I was good enough, somebody would have saw me. And so for
Hmm.
me, that was tough. So it's always been a tough thing to me because I try to look introspective. Like
Hmm.
I can cry over spilled milk, but at the end of the day, I can only control what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like what somebody else did, right or wrong. I mean, man, I can't really, I can cry about it, but what can you do
Hmm.
about it? The only thing I can really control is what I did. So, uh, felt like, man, like I let myself down.
Right. Okay. So, what advice would you give like younger players based on like your experiences?
Younger players, man, use the technology that you have nowadays. Everything
Hmm.
that's at your fingertips, use it. Man, I mean, you can follow, you get a chance to follow. We saw what we saw. If it wasn't on ESPN, we saw, if they had behind the scenes access on ESPN, we didn't see it.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We didn't see that stuff. Or, unless it was a football game or something like that, we didn't see that stuff. You can follow
Right.
people on all these social media platforms. I mean, they're working out and showing you drills that they're doing and stuff, man. I mean, take all that stuff to heart, man. Like nowadays, it's easy. The learning curve is so much easier to. I feel the learning curve is it's so much stuff out there to help you get past that learning curve, man,
Right.
and to
Right.
think out and to help you think outside the box. Man, do it. And I mean, man, even if you don't want, even while you're doing that, whenever you're like you ain't got nothing to do, don't chase the tail, man. Go out there and work out. Like work out,
Hmm.
run, keep on doing what you have to do. If that's your dream to play football, basketball, whatever, man, put that time in, man. Because before you know it, one week, a day will turn into a week turns into a month, and a month turns into a year, easy. I mean, and before you know it, you don't know what's that whole time. Before you know it, it's that same day again, just another year. And so, and you don't realize like, hey man, once you stop, it is hard to get started, man. I mean, that's
Hmm.
the thing with playing sports, especially in high school or anything, college or whatever. If you continue going, man, of course you're gonna have breaks, but if you continue to go and it's your cycle, you have that cycle. You
Hmm.
can always adjust, but the more time that you just go from 100 to nothing, man, it's hard to start that engine up again, man.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, man, let me get some quick fire questions, man, for before we get you out of here. Uh, so obviously, like you mentioned earlier, you played running back. So who's your favorite running back of all time?
Oh man, my favorite running back of all time, man. Stay with Emmitt Smith, man.
Emmitt Smith. All right. If there was one thing you could have changed about your playing career, what would it have been, and why?
One thing I could change about my playing career. Man, I listened to my mom and went to HBCU right after high school.
Okay. Advice of a mother.
Yeah, definitely.
Who's the best teammate that you've ever played with?
Can we pass? I don't want to put nobody out there, man. I mean, man, that's a tough one, man. I mean, I love my boys, man.
All right. If you could play with one person, like, professional, college, whoever you've seen, teammate in high school, if you could play with one person, who would it be and why?
If I could play with one person. It's a tough one, man. Cause now I got all these players running through my head now, man. Dang, man, I don't know. You gotta put some more context around this. You talking about in the league or?
I said
what?
in the league. You watched on TV, NFL, college, high school. Like, if you could play with one player at any position, like who would it be and why?
I can play with him.
Yes.
Okay. Play with them. Man, let's go with I often say Pat Mahomes, man. Tom Brady, man, because I know I'm gonna get a ring.
Okay. All right, and you're down in the Houston area, so
Yeah.
Can you tell us what's the best place to eat in Houston? If you could, if we were in town, where would you recommend that we go to have the best meal in Houston?
Man, if you want specialty food, man, I'll definitely say either a specialty dish, man. You either want to go Miami Spice. It's a food truck, man, and out in Katy.
Okay.
They do a lot of, they do Miami cuisine. Hey man, Jamaican Miami cuisine, legit good. Or if you want that black man, you want to go to stuffed chicken wings, the truck, man.
Okay.
The stuffed
Good
chicken
deal,
wing
man.
truck. If you want a good wholesome meal, man, I'll say Mia's Table.
All right, man. Those sound like all good spots.
Yeah, legit.
All right, and last question: Who would you like to see next on the podcast?
Got a couple of them.
Okay, go ahead.
I know it's probably more players, man, but definitely, man, I think to have somebody like Coach Bryant on here, man, I love to see Coach Bryant, his interview. Of course, Antonio Robertson,
Okay.
and I'll say Arthur Douglas.
All right. Okay. No, I didn't think of Coach Rob or Coach Bryant, but no, that's actually a pretty good idea.
I'll say, man, make sure you get that coach right, man. That's Coach Bryant, man.
Right. Yeah, you definitely can't get those mixed up. So.
Yeah.
All right.
So those are my folks, man. I think will be good. Oh, and Ty Moore, man. Let's throw a lady in there.
Okay. That's a Southwood basketball player, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm familiar with her. She probably graduated with you then, right?
Yeah, she came out a year after us.
Okay. All right, man. No, man, I appreciate your time, man. Appreciate your story. Definitely some information in there I did not know. So it was always good to hear, man. And thanks for coming through and sharing with us today.
Anytime, man. Appreciate you for having me.
All right.
All right, man.
Thank you for listening to the More Than Sports podcast. Please like, subscribe, and set your notifications so you can be up to date on new content. Also, if you have a story you'd like to share, please reach out to us at mystory@morethansportspodcast.com.